have a guest, Corey McEnroe. What's going on, Corey?
Not much, Joey. Thanks for having me, man. I'm very excited to be here.
So, where were you born and how was your upbringing?
Okay, so I am from Millbrook, New York, which is in the Hudson Valley, Dutchess County. So the closest city nearest to me is Poughkeepsie. It's a city that's right in the middle of Albany and New York
Mm-hmm.
City. It's the last stop on the metro. Uh, Sometimes it gets called the sixth borough, but it's definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very nice where I grew up. I mean, I had a backyard. We played, football in it and, lakes and stream walking, all that good stuff. But I could also take a train to Yankee Stadium. So it's a
That's cool.
really cool place to live because you get like nature and fall and colors and all that stuff. But you can also go right down the city and see the Yankees or the Knicks or the Giants. So,
That's
um,
cool.
I was born in '88. So, that's all growing up with all the Jeter years for the Yankees, all those Jeter, Tino Martinez, all those experiences, Mariano Rivera, growing up through Jordan, and then obviously, Kobe to LeBron. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Up because my father was a basketball coach. He coached high school and then he also coached some Division III college.
Hmm.
He also coached my brother and myself when we were younger in basketball and baseball. My brother and
Mm-hmm.
I grew athletes from the jump. And that was, it. I'm not the only household where sports are glorified. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you can attest to this. For many, many years growing up, when the Super Bowl happens, don't you go to someone's house to watch the Super Bowl
Mm-hmm.
for a
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sports get you glorify them. There's no other way to say it. You glorify them, and I definitely did that as a kid growing up, especially because my father was a coach.
Mm-hmm.
Sports had an inner knowledge. I knew a little bit extra. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I ended up playing college baseball at a Division II school in near Rochester, in Alfred State, and just never really put school as equal as sports. Sports were always who likes school? Not a lot of people. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely
Mm-hmm.
those people. So I just didn't do well in college, and I didn't get good grades because I was just always there focused on playing baseball. So I played 2 years of college ball, and I learned a lot. And I definitely was good here, but I was still maturing. And that's one of the that I end up talking about in my public speaking to young athletes and their parents is if you're going to be a professional athlete, you
Mm-hmm.
mature so quickly. And if you don't mature quickly, you don't really have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All professional athletes, besides very few, are pros before the age of 22 or 23. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Can you share with us the story of your traumatic injury and how it impacted your relationship with the game of baseball? Mm-hmm.
I got out of college and I started coaching with my dad at a high school. And it was very fun. My dad was like, yo, we got a pack of that could be really good. Just come check them out. So when they were eighth grade, we had them in modified, but then there was no JV. So by the time they were ninth grade, we bumped them up to ninth grade. And
Mm-hmm.
at grade, we were 1-16. When they were in 10th grade, we were 8-10, and we made the playoffs for the first time in like 10 years in the school's history. And then when they were juniors, we were 15-3, and we were the playoffs, and we almost won the sectional. It was crazy. We had 7 kids that were all. I mean, it was just awesome. It was really, really cool. And what happened for me was when I started to coach more and teach, I had, 15 ball players that I was all fixing their swing. It made me
Mm-hmm.
get it like
Mm-hmm.
so much. So then when you're coaching in public school and high school and a teacher wants the team, and they work at the school, they can just have the team. And my
Mm-hmm.
father, head coach, and I was an assistant with 2 other friends of his. They didn't work at the school, so we all of a sudden just weren't coaching the team anymore. And I was kind of like loose on my own. And I was always doing that part-time. I had other jobs and other things going on in my life. No career things, which is really crazy about what this all very much leads to. So I stopped coaching around the age of 26 and started playing in men's leagues again. And dude, I'm still in good shape because I'm healthy. I'm a certified personal trainer and I still have a good arm. And now all of a sudden I'm like mature and smart and I have a great knowledge of the game and I'm just crushing men's league. And like dudes on my team are like, you're good. Like you should try, which was like very nice that they encouraged me. And I had a big heart. As you can tell, I have like a lot of energy and a youthful. So I really started to work at it. I started to get to the point where I could face upper 80s, low 90s and not be frustrated by it. I actually craved it. I wanted it. And it was all through the ages of like 27, 28, and 29. At 29 years old, I tried out for the Philadelphia Phillies at an open tryout in Philly. So it's funny you're from PA. I don't know how close you are. But it was an open tryout for the Phillies, and I went down there, and they're very, very nice. But everyone at the tryout was between the ages of 18 and 22, and they were giant young men that were all very heavy and wide. And I was 29 years old, 5'9", 155 pounds. And although I can play at a high level, they were like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we can't invest our money in you. You're 29. And I went home very defeated. My mental health took a strange turn after that happened at 29 that I didn't eventually learn to cope with until this crazy injury happened. Once I couldn't play pro, or at least get a shot to play pro, I still played in men's leagues, and I was very frustrated. I had a huge chip on my shoulder. So a good friend of mine says, because my whole thing was like, when I would play in men's leagues, I would feel like I'm really good, and some of the guys I was playing around weren't as good. So then I would try to like pick up the slack for them. And my friend would be like, yo, if you're playing in Sunday men's leagues, like if your teammates aren't good, just chill. Just relax. And like, I'm the opposite of that. If my teammates aren't good, I'm trying to extra run and do more, one of my best friends calls me a tryhard, which is a gift and a curse. So I'm playing in men's leagues. My girl and I move out to Tucson after COVID because, COVID happens. I was playing in men's leagues. COVID happens, and I started working at my uncle's farm. Like my whole life kind of changed. I feel like everybody's life changed when COVID happened. So we made a change. We moved out to Tucson so I could do coaching because Arizona is such a big baseball hub. Okay. And I was doing coaching out there. And then through coaching, I met another coach who got me hooked up with doing a men's league team. And, like I said, like a combination of lack of discipline, emotional discipline, and then just a long-standing, creeping mental health of being very frustrated that I never got to live out a dream that I wanted to as a baseball player. So playing in a game one day last year in June, ball gets hit into the gap. I run it down and I catch it. So there we go. Boom. I catch it, but I'm going this way and I smash into the fence, and the impact pushes I was born with an extra vertebrae in my neck, which is like the most random thing. Apparently not that random, but the impact from the shoulder pushed a rib that right onto my clavicle artery, and over 6 months it cut off the circulation to my thumb. And in February, I had to get my thumb amputated, and then to close the wound on my hand, I had to get my index finger amputated. And dude, it was crazy, man. Cause like I hit the fence, I finished the inning, I took another at bat, I drove home, I went to work the next day. All I had was like a waffle print on my face from hitting the fence so hard. I was like fine. The symptoms took a while to get real severe. They would come and go, they'd be very random. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I worked in a job where I used my hands a lot, so I thought I had a tunnel. And I'm an athlete, Joey. I don't know how much sport you played. I feel like you're an athlete. I feel like you played some sports. When you're an athlete,
yeah, we all have.
bet perfect. So when you're an athlete, if it's not broken or bleeding, you think you're so
right. You
dude,
keep going.
yeah.
And keep playing.
I was working a day job. I was coaching private lessons, and then I was head coaching a 13U team every day, full days. So I didn't want to stop and be like, yo, I'm having this crazy pain that like I can't figure out, and I can't coach right now. I just didn't know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So I never addressed the problem, and then it got too severe, and then my thumb turned. My thumb basically died on my hand. It was the most intense, incredible thing, but it was crazy, man. I said before that I never really had a career, and I was always trying to find something. I was really trying to relive a childhood dream. And when I got in the hospital, I immediately realized how glorifying sports at a young age and then not understanding what it really takes to be a professional athlete, very bitter once I figured out, because all of a sudden, dude, like when you figure out how to hit 90 plus, it's like being able to defuse a bomb. You're like, whoa.
Right.
So like
you get that adrenaline rush.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, and then I couldn't do anything with it. It was like I figured out
Right.
how to swing Thor's hammer and do anything with it. So I when I was coaching, I would see so many kids and parents think that they're going to be a pro because, like, I love Dansby Swanson. I'm a shortstop. The Braves just beat the Dodgers, and I didn't want the Dodgers to win because everybody's a Dodgers fan. But I love Dansby just like him. Well, kid, if you want to be Dansby Swanson, he was an All-American in high school. He went to Vanderbilt. He won the national championship. He was an All-American in college. He was the first overall pick in the draft. He's a superstar. So, like, you have to be so elite to be a professional. There are many guys that you probably know growing up that were really, really, really talented and could have went pro and got injured, or they went to the wrong college and didn't get the right amount of playing time, so they didn't get the right amount of exposure. Or one of my dad's best players, he should have been in the same draft as LeBron, and they didn't think he played good enough defense. He was too much of a scorer. So then he has now had a really long career in Europe and overseas. But it's really funny because the NBA now favors just score it. Like, we don't really care how good you do. So if he was a draft pick in the past 7 years, he would have been in the NBA. So there's so many things that can make you not be the thing you watch on TNT and Fox and ESPN every night. So it, like I said, when I first went into the hospital with this, I knew right away, like, I want to public speak and I want to talk to kids and parents about what it takes to be a professional athlete. So, like, another really good example I like to use is Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker has an interview where he talks about how he didn't have a high school childhood. He didn't go to prom. He didn't go out on dates, no mini golf, no movies. He would have a practice in the morning, do school practice, do his homework, own practice and repeat, and then every weekend get driven to Alabama from Georgia to do you. But now he's Devin Booker and he's in the league. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge sacrifice if you want to be a professional. And
Right.
that's one of the main points I'm trying to get through to young athletes now and their parents.
How did you come to realize that your pursuit of baseball career was unrealistic and unhealthy?
Man, it really, it's unrealistic was after I
Injury.
no, unrealistic was after I didn't make the Phillies.
Mm.
And I was pissed off for 4 years from
Mhm.
30,
Mhm.
33.
Mhm.
Toxic was laying in the hospital knowing my thumb is about to be amputated and I'll never swing a baseball bat again. That was when I
Mhm.
said this was really toxic and self-destructive. And you know, it's that that like wave of like bow, slap you in the face, you're never playing baseball again,
Mhm.
has really inspired me and encouraged me even more to be a public speaker and get my message out, because like I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. I want you to be able to enjoy sports alongside. And like, dude, I was undersized from the jump and I was undisciplined the whole time. I didn't eat
Mhm. Mhm.
enough, out enough. I was very naturally coordinated and talented and fast and strong, but no solid muscle development. And like I say this all the time, and my father says this, my father, a coach, says this.
Mhm.
I don't even know if you would listen to your message at your you were 16 because you were so I'm gonna do this. And I might not have. I might not
Mhm.
have. But my whole goal is to at least get through to one young man or person in the
Right.
audience, help change their life. But I really did need someone to, in a presentation, break down how big and fast and
Mhm.
strong
Mhm. Mhm.
professionals. There is not a
Mhm.
single professional athlete that's under 180 pounds, and the guys that are 170 are super special. They're the ones that are like, they're really they you don't expect them to be there. They get hurt a lot. They don't have super long careers. The rare exception is Messi, the great soccer player. Um,
Mhm.
there's Go just look at NBA rosters. Nobody's really lower than 175. Everybody's big, strong, physical. That's why Zion Williamson is so difficult. He's 6'7" and 285, just moving around fast.
Mhm.
My whole point is, when you are a regular average person, just accept that and understand that and try to enjoy the high school experience that you get. And if you get to be good enough that you get to go play college, use college to get a degree. That was the biggest thing I missed out on. I had to play Division 2 or Division 1. I didn't get any Division 1 looks, so I played at a Division 2 school. But I had a Division 3 school that wanted me so badly. But because it was
Mhm.
Division 3, I didn't want to
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
And dude,
Mhm.
it's in Rhode Island. It's right on the beach, and it's 8-1 girls to guys. And I could have had a 4 year, I could have had a 4 year experience where I got a degree. And by the time I was a junior and a senior, where I was actually a young man, they would have
Mhm.
said, we're giving this guy the ball, or we're making him a captain. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
instead,
Mhm.
my immaturity made me go think I was going to jump to a higher level when, dude, I went to a Division 2 junior college, and the only reason I made the team was because I was so fast that my coach couldn't cut me. He was like, he's too much of a weapon. He's too fast, that if I cut him, I would be losing a weapon. And the only thing I did my freshman year was pinch run to steal like
Mm.
first, third, or get a guy would hit a double and I'd go on second and I would
Mhm.
score
Mhm.
because I was so fast. And it paid off a few times. I scored a run.
Mhm.
But never
Mhm.
let me hit because I was very undisciplined and my technique was very bad because I was too immature. Like I said, sports and especially baseball, you have to be mature and you have to be smart. And if you're immature,
Mhm. Mhm.
you definitely have to be big and strong if you're immature. But
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
small, you can't be immature. And that was me. So um lying in a hospital bed at 34 years old because I
Mm.
couldn't just enjoy a Sunday baseball game made me go, yeah, I might have taken baseball to a self-destructive toxic level.
As a baseball coach, what observations did you make about the unrealistic expectations placed on young athletes?
I will give um I'll give two really good stories here. One is about a kid who he doesn't have the build, he doesn't have the body, he doesn't have the work ethic with his attitude, and he doesn't have the work
Mhm.
ethic. He is
Mhm.
a decent ball player, and what happened was, like most kids, myself included, he got coordinated quick when he was younger.
Mhm.
Through Little League, he would make these razzle dazzle plays because it's on a smaller field and the ball's
Mhm.
not hot yet. Okay. So his dad thinks my son, the next Derek Jeter. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Then up to the 15-year-old level, that was where I had him at 15. And dude, he's 125 pounds. He doesn't go lateral well. So he can't cover the whole shortstop spot, which he played his whole life. I had to move him over the third, which he had a better, reaction and angle for, but he hated it because he wasn't shortstop anymore, and his dad hated it too. Um, and he just wasn't slow. He wasn't fast around the bases. He was slow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Dude, you need core strength. In baseball, you
Mhm.
need firing out. It's explosion.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so he's frustrated at me because he wants to play shortstop. He thinks he's a shortstop. He doesn't go lateral enough. But I put him at third. He ends up making better plays at third. So he starts to get it a little bit more, the kid. But every time his dad drives him to and from practice, his dad's feeding him, hey, you should be at short. This is BS, blah, 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 blah. So that's exhibit A of ruining the experience for the kid. Because now every time our shortstop does make any mistake, that kid's at third going, it should be me at shortstop. And
Mhm.
his
Right.
be my son at shortstop. Instead of building a nucleus and understanding that your skill set fits better for third. It's a quick
Mhm.
react, quick throw instead of
Mhm.
having to
Mhm.
run backhand and throw. It's just
Mhm.
being math. All sports end up being math. That's why I say
Mhm.
football is
Mhm. Mhm.
um so So there's a kid who's never going to really play at the next level. And his dad is asking me if he's going to make it to the U of A, Division One. And he's not even going to start on varsity as a junior or
Hmm.
senior. And
Mhm.
it's like, Dad, whoa, like you gotta
Mhm.
wake up. And then we have exhibit B where it's a dad who very engaged in the community, and his son also very good through little league and is now in high school, and he's big and solid and has all the pieces.
Mhm.
Okay, but he's not there mentally at all. He's very big and gifted for 14, 15, and 16 years old, but he's
Mhm.
not really there mentally at
Right.
maturity, and they're already flying him across the country for showcase tournaments, shelling out
Hmm.
bread. Okay, and that's great if you got the money and you want to do that.
Mhm.
Like,
Right.
but what that does is it's really molded this young man's character to a he thinks he's a super dude because he's already got some size and
Mhm.
skill
Mhm.
and being sent to these showcases. So he thinks he's a super dude, but that is because he's so young, it's putting too much pressure on him.
Right.
So if he makes it it is going to be like scratching and clawing because he is a freshman and already pressure. And that's like not good for anybody. Like you don't want to do that. You want things to come effortlessly. And it's for when baseball works, when anything works, you're enjoying it. When any sport activity, when it works, it's fun, it's happy, it's a fun learning process. You feel comfortable and confident, and like I would see this young man's at bats and I can feel the pressure on him, swinging out of his shoes, mad at the umpire, and dad is, kind of yelling at him, going, you don't do that. You don't get mad at the umpire. But like, instead of being like, he's matching his frustration instead of being like, hey, you're 15, you're a freshman, you have 3 more high school, and you think you want to be a pro, right? Yeah, I think I want to be a pro. Well, then why are you a freshman mad at the umpire right now if you're going to have a 15 career? So these are the type of things that I try to kick to kids. It's very hard to kick it to their parents, especially dads that are older than me and drive $100,000 cars. You know what I mean? And like, I'm just being a baseball coach because I love baseball and I have a daytime job. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was always a difficult thing to get through to. So that leads me to, like you said, when you showed me the intro, a youth baseball coach. I'm gonna coach in 6 years when my son is ready for T-ball. I will coach my kid, but I am nobody else's kid anymore. A really good coaching buddy of mine says 2 hours at practice every day get wiped away at the dinner table every night, and he's not kidding. Dude, sports are supposed to be fun, and I have a laundry list of horror stories that make it, for the kids not having fun, and then parents not having fun, and then it trickles down into the kids. Sometimes the kids are actually there to have fun, and the parents ruin it.
How has your experience as an amputee given you a unique perspective on life and the importance of making informed choices?
Oh, great question. Great question. I knew when I read over these, I said, dude, this Joey guy, he knows how to interview people. That is a fantastic question. I'm going to answer it backwards. Informed choices is really important. I didn't even know what primary care physician was, because, dude, I was an athlete and I'm a certified personal trainer. I've never really been sick or hurt in my adult life. So I've never needed a primary care physician after 25, after I got off my parents' insurance. And I never knew what one was. So when I was getting the few doctor's appointments that I had for this, the doctors I know were like, all right, well, he's not being referred to me by a primary care physician. He's being referred to me by his student's father, who is also a doctor. So like, I wasn't being that as a person who understood the medical field. So a main thing with informed choices is, when you're a young adult, figure out how to get yourself protected for health things. You never know crazy is going to happen. You never know. So that's a huge thing. Just like, it's not too cool to figure out who your doctor is and to go, and what your health insurance is and all that jazz. I didn't know, dude, and it screwed me. And I thought I was going to be able to sue the doctors that misdiagnosed me, but it turns out that it was such a rare thing that the doctors are not at fault. So one of my students' fathers came out of the blue and was like, I'm a lawyer and I can get you hooked up with the best med mal team in Arizona. And they did a 3-month investigation, and unfortunately came back and said it was so rare to have the rib on the artery that they're not at fault. And I just treat that as learn my lesson of take care of yourself before something before something crazy happens. Take care of yourself before something crazy happens. And also, it has really, really just inspired me to be a public speaker and get my message out and inform people of what I went through and what I've learned. So what I've learned as an amputee so much is like, dude, I thought that my main thing was just going to be talk to young athletes and their parents, and then I've been life as a post-trauma experience person. Let me get this in shot better. Just it's crazy, man. It sucked for like 3 weeks. It sucked so bad, and I hated every minute of it. I would replay the day that I ran into the fence over and over in my head, and I would try to stop myself from doing it. And it would be the craziest psychological thing you can do to yourself, man.
Yeah.
I in bed all night thinking of the same event and trying to undo it. So I woke up one day, man, and I said, it is really hard to heal this hole in my hand being regretful and being in pain. So I just said, I'm gonna be happy. And I really want to give a tip of the hat to my best friend of 28 years, person I met when I was in first grade. He lost his mom to cancer when he was very young. We were like, and he's always learned how to cope with things with humor and laughter and from the very, very beginning, my thumb turned as black as my hoodie on my hand. My black, bro, it died. And my best friend would text me the thumbs up, the emoji, but the black one. So he would the thumb. Hey man, thumbs up. And we would do all these thumb jokes. He would text me like, hey man, I'm all thumbs today. Or like, I'm thumbing through some things just to make light of it. It feels better being happy. And that's the biggest thing I've learned, man. That's the biggest message I give to anybody who's been through a traumatic thing is like, I know it sounds easy, but the moment you just accept where you are now and it is what it is, then you can just go, yeah, I'm alive though. I'm alive. Dude, I had blood clots in my elbow and in my shoulder and they localized. They didn't go anywhere. I had clots for months, like almost 5 months I had clots, and they didn't go to my heart, brain, or lungs. They stayed localized so I could just get them pulled out, get my fingers removed, and I'm the same person talking, walking, riding a bike, running around. You know, I know Bernie Williams, so I got to play in his charity softball game this year, so I can still play a little softball here, but definitely ball. But like, dude, this could have made me a vegetable. A vegetable. Like I could be not talking to you right now. So that's like just such a baseline part of my message, man. It's like no matter what you go through, as long as you're still here and you get to experience life.
How did you personally navigate through the emotional challenges that came with your traumatic experience?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I said, the best thing was to just realize that it's easier to just be happy. I know that sounds so silly and simple, but I mean, obviously exercise helps. I'll fast forward to this. Since I've been home, I've moved from Tucson to New York, and since I've been home and I've been pursuing public speaking and expressing this whole experience, I've reached out to the high school that I went to, and I did a trial run there, and I spoke in front of 5 faculty, and one of those 5 faculty was the actor. And she was like, you're really great. You have great presence. We definitely want to have you come speak, but do you want to come help out with any of my acting classes or maybe even the school play this year? And dude, I got that law firm in Tucson because I helped out a little league team like a few months prior because I love baseball and I love coaching, and some of the kids that I knew, and I just helped out for the goodness of my heart. No money involved. Baseball. And my father has always told me sometimes you got to do things for free. It opens doors. You never know what it's going to do for you. And just always say yes to opportunity, basically. And she said, do you want to be in the school play? And I said, sure. So this in 2 weekends, the second weekend of November, I will be a 35-year-old man in a high school play in a Midsummer Night's Dream. And expression, man, is such a beautiful thing, no matter who you are. And I try to get this through to my athletes that I work with. If you're an athlete, you're actually a performer. And you're a really expressive person, because if you're an athlete, you're on a stage and you have a whole crowd of people watching you, especially if you're a baseball player. Because if you're a baseball player, you're literally in a box or you're on a mound. You're at your, it's just you. Everybody's watching you do something. So I highly encourage my athletes to go towards the part of them that is expressive. It's not a surprise to me that one of the like celebrities that I know is Bernie Williams, and he was a baseball player who is now a musician. Did you know that? Bernie Williams, really good Spanish guitar player, like really, really good. You should, look him up. He's nice. He's super nice. He has a band. He's really good. Bernie Williams, fantastic guitar player. Like, just a lot of athletes. Grant Hill could play piano. God, who? I mean, Ron Artest rapped, but he wasn't that good. Damian Lillard raps, and he's fairly good. So it's just, I don't know. There's a connection between sports and performing, and one of the best ways to cope with this injury of not being able to really play sports anymore is, getting into more performing and expressing. And dude, that's how I found you, is because of TikTok. And I've been going really hard at posting on TikTok every day just to get my message out there and meet more people. This would not be happening if I was trying to express myself so hard. And every day I wake up and I look at this, I am instantly inspired to go, I have to keep talking about this. I have to keep finding a way to get my message out, so that the pinpoint message is athletes and their parents, and then the widespread message, anybody who's had a bad day, whether it's like small, I failed my math test, big, somebody died from cancer, or worse. I can meet you there. And trauma is something that you can learn to accept and embrace through.
I'm sure there's a lot of young athletes out there right now who are going through a traumatic experience with some sort of injury playing sports, and by listening to someone like you who actually experienced it and still battling um that situation, they could actually get inspired and motivated, because
Yeah.
a lot of young athletes just start looking at the negative perspective, and they'll just want to quit or just give up because of the current situation. But by listening to somebody like you, I'm sure they could get motivated.
Yeah. No, I mean, Joey, that's like, I have always known that I am good at public speaking, and I want, and I want a public speaker.
Mhm,
Never knew about what.
mhm,
And
mhm,
man, I was writing in my journal. I was really frustrated when I was out in Tucson, because
mhm,
I really believe in my coaching ability and my
mhm,
coaching.
mhm,
and some people would love me and some people would hate me, and I would get a lot of backlash, and my whole ride in Tucson would go up and down and up and down, and I'd write in my journal and I go, what is my purpose? COVID
Mhm.
happened and I moved out here, and I thought I thought I could do that. We were so successful in New York with my dad, then like what
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
working out here? And I would have, small successes with private students and stuff like that. um and dude, I'm in the hospital, man, and I go, dude, if I gotta trade a finger or two for a career, if all of a sudden now I have a paved direction of what I'm doing, and I know what I'm doing is exactly what you just said. I'm trying to
Mhm.
get that was
Mhm.
20 years old. Here's a great example. I read not too long ago that Georgia recruited one of the like top 5 linebackers in the nation. I think he was number 1, but I might be wrong. And he got hurt in like a spring game, not in a
Hmm.
fall. He got hurt in like a
Mhm.
spring, and he got hit just right where the doctor said if he ever plays football again, he could die, so he can't ever play again. Imagine
Hmm.
being like a freshman or sophomore, so
Mhm.
19 years old,
Mhm.
and you're going to be in the NFL. You were the number 1 guy in high school. Georgia brought you in. You're ready to be a dude, and you get hit one time and it's a wrap. And you got to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And it's just really important to have a backup plan.
When you brought up purpose,
Yeah,
what is my purpose? I have interviewed a couple of people, and that's one of the main things they bring up: purpose. What
yeah,
is my purpose? And with your situation, and in this interview, you can actually see what your purpose is just by
yeah,
the way that you express yourself about this topic. You know what I mean? So people, viewers, listeners, they will automatically know that you have that passion.
yeah.
You have
Thank you.
that fire, you know what I mean, to help those who are going through this or are facing different kind of traumatic situations, because there might be people listening, to this podcast and going through any kind of traumatic situation that doesn't have to do with sports. And they could
Yeah,
be like, wow, you know what? I'm actually going through a traumatic situation right now. And
yeah,
it's like, this guy just uplifted me. I believe a lot of people is going to get impacted by your story.
uh,
They will, young people will get inspired to keep playing sports, to not give up.
yeah,
Because we all have a purpose, and only if we dig within ourselves, we can actually find out what that purpose is. Sometimes that could be a long process, short
yeah.
process, but sooner
See,
or later that time point gonna come that you're gonna be like, you know what? Now I know what my purpose is. It took
yeah,
me to go through this specific trauma situation for me to find out what I'm here for, what I like to do.
yeah. I mean, that is the nail on the head, man. And I knew, I don't know how I found you, man, but TikTok just showed me you, and I just said the
Mhm.
Awake
Mhm.
podcast, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I gotta reach out to this dude and just say,
Mhm.
hey, man, I really think that we'd be on the same wavelength with what we
Mhm.
talked.
Mhm.
Is like it really was January 3rd, and um uh my thumb was basically purple, and
Mhm.
at my mom, and I just go, I'm probably gonna lose my thumb, and like that's okay.
Thank you for being on the podcast, Corey.